All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army, episode 2.239, and we got a lot to talk, perhaps yell, whine, cry about. We'll get into it here. So we'll start with U.S. men's national team. Get right into it with. We qualified for Copa America. Everybody's happy. Everybody's excited. Yay! So we'll talk about that first. Then we'll move to headlines. Everton's punishment, maybe what it means for City and Chelsea. IFAB possible rule changes, and then World Cup 2023 invisible costs. Weekly what if time will be Greg Berhalter related. Premier League. Oh, time to get your mind right. We got City and Liverpool. We're going to hit the round running real fast. City and Liverpool and Newcastle, Chelsea this weekend. So we'll get into that and all the other games. Very short, abbreviated around the world, where, of course, we'll sort of remind everybody where we're at in the MLS playoffs. Keep that momentum going. And I use that, the sarcasm font was on there. And then finally, stoppage time with Ivan Toney's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, Goas. Now, time to welcome in these beauties here with me this week, where we'll be yelling about U.S. men's national team, among other things. First up, we got Mitchell Goulet, a.k.a. Overtime Mitch. And this question is going to come out of the blue. I'm sure you will have no idea where it came from. But what is the dumbest red card you ever got yourself?
I like this one. I don't have a ton of red cards in my career, but the ones that I do, they were pretty dumb. You know how you are taught as a young player to get to the corners of the penalty arc in the 18 on a penalty because that's the most, that's the closest you can get to going and getting a rebound. You're supposed to rush in after the penalty's taken. I had a younger, smaller player on my team who had gotten there first. A bigger player on the other team had just backed him and cleared him away. And we both had like our hands on our knees like this. And I just like threw an elbow up at his nose real quick. And nobody saw it, right? Nobody saw anything. But the fact that I like broke his nose was reason enough. And it was evidence enough to red card me. And then their coach corroborated his story that he was yelling like he elbowed me, and I was walking around like I don't know, it just happened like that. But no, I did elbow that kid.
You had blood spurted on your elbow,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, yeah. It was yeah, that was not my shining moment.
I think that's up there. That'll win some awards
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. Not proud of that one, but we'll tell the story like we are.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll see if our next man on the street, man off the street, Dalton D Money Kemper is back. And the same question for you, Dalton. Dumbest, stupidest, most juvenile red card you've ever gotten.
Never got a red. Never got a red.
Ooh,
I'm a
goody
good
two
boy.
shoes over here.
But I'll tell you the funny. There's a funny story of a red card on a team that I was on. Our striker was known for causing a lot of issues with the other team's center backs. Just annoyed the hell out of them all game, whether it was just chatting to them, bumping into them a little harder, things like that. Eventually, one of the center backs was a little hot-headed, maybe a little Sergiño Dest in him. Yelled, everyone could hear. There were not a lot of fans attending this game, obviously. He said, if you touch me again, I'm going to kill you. He very quickly was sent off by the referee. It was really quick and easy situation. The referee heard it. Everyone heard it. So the evidence was there. Unlike Mitch's situation where it did not go to VAR. They just believed the story. Everyone heard it. Everyone knew what happened. And yeah, who knows what Sergiño said to the referee? Maybe it was that.
Good Lord. I think he said a lot of things because he had his hand over his mouth for a good 2 minutes there. We'll get into that in just a minute. Okay, good stories. Good stories. I honestly think Sergiño has you both beat. But
Probably.
You'll have that sometimes. All right, we got to get into the U.S. men's national team. So, big picture. Everybody do some golf claps. U.S. men's national team, we qualified for Copa America 2024. Hooray. Good for us. A little pat on the back. Mm-hmm. Woo! Now we'll dig into it and it'll get a little uglier. So first game was on Thursday. This is home and home, where the goals carry over. So we're up 3-0. Then on Monday, which is today, we're taping right after the final whistle. We didn't win. I guess we did win overall 4-2. We lost 1-2 today. that's obviously going to sort of take up the bulk of the discussion. But before we get to today, let's talk quickly about Thursday's game, which, as I mentioned, was a 3-0 win. On the just off big picture, as a 5,000 foot view, 3-0 win at home, kind of like, yeah, not that bad, not that great. Sort of, it could be worse. If you dig in, it was a whole lot less impressive, right? We played for I don't know how many, like a half hour or so up a man. Our performance in the first half was, I don't want to say awful, but it was pretty bad. We didn't get much going. Trinidad and Tobago shut us down on our home field for 45 minutes, and you could actually say for almost 80 minutes. But then finally, we the floodgates opened to a certain extent, and we got 3 goals to finish out the game. So, Dalton, what were your takeaways from that first game on Thursday?
I thought it was actually one of those situations where the other team getting a red card probably was worse for us than them just staying with 11, because they were committed to putting men behind the ball. But then once that red card happened, it was like, all right, we are digging in here and going to make it damn near impossible for them to do anything, especially in the middle of the field. So I thought that hurt us, honestly, Trinidad going down a man, because they were just fully committed, did not care about scoring anymore or even trying to counter. So that kind of sucked. I thought some bright spots, though. I thought Gio was really good. He had some incredible passes that maybe the finish wasn't there or the first touch wasn't there by the person receiving it, but I thought he was really good. And ultimately, 3-0, like you said, 5,000 foot view looks pretty good. But I wasn't as disappointed as a lot of people, just because, like, we know this team struggles to break down low blocks. We're not very good at it. We need to get better at it, but I wasn't as disappointed because it's tough. Like international games are tough in general. It is Trinidad and Tobago, but I just thought, 3-0, we'll take it. Eventually the breakthrough happened, and then you just pile on. And we needed those goals in the end, so
thank God we got them. In retrospect, thank God we got some goals there. Mitch, takeaways from you?
Yeah, a week later they won't ask how, they'll ask how many, and it is quite fortunate that we had those 3 as a cushion going into today. We know Berhalter ball isn't sexy either. Like, we're not going to play a full 90-minute game where we dominate the other side, especially in a CONCACAF matchup. That result is the best we could have asked for from Thursday. None of us really loved how it came about, but I'm proud that we were able to get 3 goals from it, because that shows that we didn't really rest on that one that we got, that Pepe goal, that we really kept pushing for. So I think it shows more character than it does, weakness, but we already know the weaknesses with this team, and it's Berhalter.
Well, so here's some of my thoughts, just to add on. I mean, I don't have any sort of huge arguments with anything you guys said, but here were some of the observations I made. I didn't mind the starting 11 that Berhalter put out there against on the first game on Thursday. I was excited to see guys like Malik Tillman and Kevin Paredes. Unfortunately, both those guys did not have good games. Which happens, too often our fan base is ready to just, like, you get a bad game, like Zendejas has had bad games, and people are ready to write these guys off. Like, that's not the right response. They had a bad game, and hopefully they learned from it. I thought Tillman played okay when he came on today on Monday, so they will bounce back. I thought Greg got the tactics wrong in the first half against on Thursday, when he wanted us to play so narrow and up the middle, which allowed them to crowd the middle, which they were already doing anyway. And we just didn't get anything going. We got nothing going in the first 45. There were some chances here and there. Our finishing was atrocious on Thursday. I'm not going to call out specific people, although our guy Brennan Aronson had some good looks, and Ream had a header that he should have put in. Balogun had some good looks. So I am going to call out some names, but basically, we should have been up 2 or 3 before we even got to 3. So those were really my takeaways. I thought, Greg's subs were a little late in the second half. as is kind of tradition. But I thought the moves that he made was fine, and getting Pepe and Balogun out there together, I was a little nervous about that, and I'm still not sure about them together. They just haven't had a lot of minutes, and it's tough going from a one striker to two striker set if you're not really used to the other guy you're playing with. So I just think they need some minutes together if we're going to actually do that. But putting Balogun or Pepe out there in the first game on Thursday was clearly a game changer. He's a bigger guy. He's willing to throw some elbows and just get in the mix down low. And that ended up being how we got the breakaway or breakthrough. So ultimately, 3-0 win, not one to write home about, but a win that we needed, and we got the result, that we wanted. Okay, now fast forward to today. I think things started off kind of interesting in a good way. People were excited about the starting 11 that Berhalter put out there. We had Balogun and Pepe out there in a 4-4-2, which I think a lot of people were calling for on Twitter. So, I think Berhalter, I guess, will get credit for that. He won't. Listen, Berhalter's not going to get credit for anything. Let's just be honest. I saw people saying that BJ Callahan must have made the lineup and all this. Like, Berhalter's never going to get credit for anything. But I didn't have any. Again, second game in a row, I didn't really have any huge qualms with the 11. And right from the start, that game felt like, okay, we had some great looks in the first 10 minutes. We didn't score it until 20 something in. I think it was the 25th minute or something like that is when Jedi finally got that header, and thank God he did, because if he had not scored that, holy shit, my butthole would have gotten real tight. But so we got the goal from Jedi. We should have had 2 or 3 more. Balogun had some looks. Pepe had some looks. Aronson had some more looks. We again are finishing not great. But we got that goal, and that goal is huge because it means that they would have had to get 5 goals to beat us on the night, which is obviously a tough task. But then the big play, and the play everybody's going to be talking about for days, if not weeks, Sergiño Dest just loses his goddamn mind. And to set the stage, anybody who wasn't watching, I was watching the play. Sergiño Dest was dribbling with the ball near in their final third. Clearly, it looked like he got pushed over, tripped, whatever, maybe kicked. I don't know exactly. It was kind of on the far side. The ref ignored it. The linesman standing right in front of it ignored it. Sergiño Dest was kind of pissed off about that. You could see it in his face. We went back down the field. Tim Ream had kind of a poor pass to Sergiño Dest, went over his head. The ball was sort of going out of bounds. It kind of looked to me like Sergiño may have actually saved it, but the linesman who had just ignored Sergiño Dest getting possibly fouled called the ball out. So Sergiño then this is where he just had a break from reality, and his brain went, I don't know where his brain went. He picked up the ball, kicked it out of the stadium, looked at the ref, pointed at the linesman, gave the ref some grief, gave the ref some more grief with his hand over his mouth. Gio Reyna came over, tried to calm him down. He kept talking. Tim Ream came over, tried to calm him down. He kept talking. The ref, there's one element here that I was a little annoyed about. The ref kept following Sergiño Dest down the field. Just give him the card and walk away. It's not about you. Oh, no, he didn't do that. He followed Sergiño Dest. Dest kept talking. Then he blew him a kiss, and boom, that's your second yellow. The dumbest red card I have ever seen. I'm not trying to bury the guy. I like Sergiño Dest. He's part of Sam Fam, but that you just can't have that. You cannot have that in this type of game. So, Mitchell, what were your thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, I don't know. How do you're an adult, you're a professional. You do this week in and week out. And not only that, you've been on the wrong end of CONCACAF refereeing calls for several caps now. Not to specify it to the competition, but you play at the highest level week in and week out, and sometimes you're not going to get a foul call, and sometimes you're going to get a wrong throw-in call. Those are not the calls to lose your mind over. I really understand being frustrated after a game full of marginal decisions that don't go your way and maybe kicking the ball into the stands. Like, guys have done that before. It's a yellow card offense. You eat that and you can hustle back and you know, play hard at the next play. To continue to yap and to cover your mouth and, you know, clearly be talking crazy if you're covering your mouth talking to the ref like that.
You know, you're not talking, you know, sense.
Right.
You're talking nonsense at that point.
Wishing him Merry Christmas. But he just kept at it. He just head loss is what it is. I don't want to say that it speaks to character or anything like that. It was head loss for this game. He will not play in the semifinal, which is a fitting punishment. But if we, as like a national team, want to take stuff like this seriously, like there needs to be repercussions. He needs to sit the final too. If we make it that far, like there's just no space for that. These are important games. We can say all we want that these are against Trinidad and there's 7,000 fans there, and you know, we were up 3-0 on aggregate anyway, and so you know we made it out. And in 5 years, nobody's gonna remember that he got a red card. Actually, they might. This was
we'll remember.
We'll remember. This one will go down.
Right. If it was a normal second yellow and then a red, then maybe not. But no, people will remember this one. But we can't tell ourselves that these games don't matter. Head loss.
Yeah, this is where guys like Tim Ream, probably Matt Turner, this is where they need to step up. And you know, they've been there, they've done that. I mean, listen, Sergiño Dest has been there and done that, so he needs to be smarter. But at the same time,
I don't put any of this on the veterans or the captains or anything. Like,
it's the reaction though. Their reaction has to be where the important thing. I mean, yes, Greg Berhalter obviously has to step in and sort of be a coach and be a father figure and all that. But it's, you know, Turner and Ream and some of the older guys, they need to step in and just be like, dude, you need to go look in the mirror and you need to think about things for a little while. And you know, it's good thing he's going to have some time off because he really does need to think about it. Dalton, what are your thoughts?
So, one sec. I'm sorry. He just posted on Instagram. Do you want me to read his caption?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Is it a highlight reel?
No, I wish.
That
I
would have
wish
done
it was
numbers.
a sick edit with like a future
That
song in the
numbers.
background. Sick. I'm still not going to rule it out. No, it's just a picture. I want to apologize to my teammates, staff, fans, and whole nation for my behavior. It was unacceptable, selfish, and immature. I let my team down. It's something I have to learn from, and it won't happen again.
Okay, so that sounds like a PR guy or girl wrote that.
No, he did. It was a run-on sentence. It's him.
Okay, good. That's better.
There wasn't even notes at.
Listen, that's a good statement, and I appreciate it. And obviously, I think everybody's gonna feel the same way. Words don't really matter, but it's good that you made that statement, and now you got to sort of prove to, because now he has to earn trust. Like right now, obviously, he doesn't have any. But I actually do think that he can earn that back. Dalton, I cut you off. What are your thoughts?
Oh, no, you're good. Now, first of all, Sergiño Dest is an enigma. Like, first USMNT player to get 2 red cards in a calendar year, because he got one against Mexico. Also had an assist in that game. I'm now coining the Sergiño Dest hat trick. Assist, red card, and we're still waiting on the IG highlight reel. That will be the third part of the Sergiño Dest hat trick. It might not come. I don't know.
I like that.
It was bad. The only time I've seen someone see red more recently, like just he was out to get booted out of that game. He did not. And the only time I've seen that recently was Bruno Guimaraes against Arsenal losing his mind. Like, it was very similar. Not that Sergiño was punching anyone in the back of the head, but just completely similar in the fact of just lost it. And in his mind, he did not care what the repercussions were. He did not care what was going to happen. He just completely blew it, which is completely on him. But you mentioned Tim Ream and Matt Turner, and I tweeted about this, and some people misconstrued my words and got mad at me.
On Twitter?
Believe it or not, they have to handle that situation better. That I think when Dest got the red, as the leaders, you have to refocus the team and be like, this is our 10 now. We dig in, we get to halftime, we contain this lead. But instead, they just start ripping into Sergiño Dest, which understandable. The guy is costing you and just made your job a whole lot harder. So I understand, but also a goal came pretty quick after Sergiño came off, and I don't think it's crazy to think that maybe the team lost focus and got drugged down mentally with Sergiño Dest into that instead of staying focused on the game.
I'm sure that they did, and you're right. I have a hard, while in a perfect world, I agree that Ream, Turner, all the guys. Because listen, this team has all been around. They've all basically played a World Cup. They all play in Europe. The only MLS player is Miles Robinson. He wasn't on the field. These guys are all playing at the highest level. They've been there. They've done that. So in a perfect world, I agree that like they probably needed to sort of get tunnel vision back on the game, but just the level of stupidity of that red card, I do not blame anybody for sort of losing focus for just a little bit. And like Ream has been around more than anybody. And he was out there being like, what after the red card, which, doesn't matter at this point. Ream was like, what the fuck? I think I could read his voice, read his lip. What the fuck was that? What the fuck were you doing? And he said that like 2 or 3 times. That's all I was saying. Like as soon as Sergiño Dest kept talking to that referee, all I was thinking, and this is before the red card, I was like, Greg's got to get him out. Greg's got to get him out. Greg's got to get him out. And Greg didn't have a chance. There was no opportunity. Like Reyna and Ream were both pulling him away. So let's just get back to the game quickly before we talk punishment. They scored a goal pretty soon after, as Dalton said, and I think you're 100% right. That was basically, a lack of focus. Hopefully, things sort of, they got their mind right at least a little bit. Came out in the second half. To be fair, Trinidad and Tobago, they had a breakaway, which a guy took a shot from like 25 yards away, which that boggled my mind. But apart from that, Trinidad and Tobago did not have a ton of looks. So while we, were playing with 10 men and didn't look great, obviously, you never do normally with 10 men, unless you're Liverpool against Tottenham. But like basically they didn't really bother us that much. They did score the goal on the free kick. I have no explanation for that. Matt Turner, I've watched him play a lot. I've never seen him misplay a shot like that. I have no explanation for it other than, it was a knuckleball and shit happens.
That one's chalked up to that being a former Forward Madison player, Alvin Jones.
Okay.
So right. Just play that angle.
Okay. We'll have to play that one. Yep. But yeah, it was just, Matt Turner has been incredible and in consistency and the sort of level he's been playing at for so long. And I saw some people getting on him on Twitter. If you are thinking that he's not our GK1 based on that mistake, like touch grass and sort of get a bigger picture. I mean, like he's been so good for so long and, mistakes happen. And yeah, he's Sam Pam, so I'm a little biased on this, but I'm sure he'll bounce back from that and just, it'll be a learning experience. Other than that, I mean, there really nothing happened. Like not much happened in the second half other than that. So we move on, as I said, 4-2 cumulative over the 2 legs. Nobody's going to be ecstatic about it. But as Mitch said at the beginning, it's at the end of the day, in a few weeks, people will kind of, the hubbub will have died down. We will have qualified for the Copa America. We will be into the semifinals. Mexico may not be, so it could be worse. And, we'll go from there. But quickly on the Dest situation. So obviously he's going to be suspended by CONCACAF for red card. What's the proper punishment for Dest, Mitch? I mean, is it just the length of the red card suspension? Should there be something more? What are your thoughts?
I think he's automatically suspended for 1 game with the red card, so he will miss the. Is the semifinal in legs, or is it just a singular game? You don't have to know this off the top of your head, but he'll miss at least the first game of the semifinal. And I think like proper internal punishment is he misses the final as well, should we make it that far. players get red cards sometimes. This is not as significant as like other off-field stuff. Like I would much rather a player lose his head on the field than off the field. I think a game punishment enforced by CONCACAF and a game punishment enforced internally is just the appropriate response. I don't think we need to blow it out of the water.
I agree with that. I saw a lot of sort of, knee-jerk reactions from people saying that, he should never play for U.S. national team again.
Fucking relax. You guys love drama so much.
Those people are so level-headed.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Twitter.
But,
It's
like,
Twitter, right? So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of that knee-jerk stuff. People do need to chill out on that. It's probably the same people that said, Matt Turner shouldn't, start for us again. And probably the same people that said, Dest should never play for the U.S. men's
the
national team.
funny part is if he shuts up 30 seconds earlier, it's labeled as like passion and I love the fire that he plays with. But he stepped over the line, so he should never play for the Crest again. Relax.
Yeah, he stepped over the line with both feet and
Yeah,
kept
he
going.
absolutely did. He jumped over the line, and I appreciate it. Like I said, I'd rather him do that on the field than to do that like on a coach or a teammate off the field.
True. We've had plenty of off the field issues, right?
That's what I'm saying. I'll take this every day of the week.
We had McKenny, sort of sounds like having a little too much fun in Nashville. Then there was obviously the Gio Reyna situation. So we've been around the block on off the field issues.
Right.
Maybe it's nice that we're actually just dealing with one on the field for once. I wasn't actually planning on drinking tonight, by the way, but then as soon as that red card, I had to crack.
You got a Pacifico too?
Oh,
cheers to that.
Cheers. Oh, cheers, boys. So thank you to Sergiño for, let me shout out Pacifico as I do on most episodes. But yeah, I'm with you on sort of the let's not get overblown on the importance and where we go from here. I don't know. I've gotten everything off my chest I want to get off my chest. Any final thoughts from you guys?
I think just leave him in. I think for next window, you just don't bring him in next window, and then that's enough. I know that he's suspended anyway, and it sucks that we're going to be approaching Copa America. We're going to want our first choice right back playing games, but I think just leave him at home next window, and it'll be all good. It's fine. We're lost the game, but into Copa America. So
right, we won the war in a very unimpressive fashion.
I'm tired of playing that team, though. I am tired of playing Trinidad. I never want to see them again.
I mean, we did just spank them like 6-0 in the summer.
Yeah.
Under the guidance of BJ Callahan, the legend that he is. Yeah, we'll move on. Onwards and upwards. I'm with you that I think that after a night of sleep, people will realize that, what Sergiño Dest did was just unthinkably dumb, but he's a young kid. He will learn from this, I hope. And my hope is that this will be sort of a turning point, because clearly he needs to get his shit together, right? I mean, like, that was just unforgivable in that moment and in that situation. But he's a young kid. It's a learning process. Hopefully we can look back on it, when we're lifting the World Cup in wherever the hell it's going to be, New York or Dallas, probably Jerry's World. And we can laugh about the fact that, Sergiño Dest and all these people were calling him off the team. And, he just scored a banger in the final against, who knows, Brazil, whatever. And this will be a turning point. That's my hope. Will it be? I don't know. But I'm certainly willing to hope. And, yeah, maybe I'm naive, but I'm also an optimist. So we move. All right. U.S. men's national team out. On to other things. We will start with headlines, where we normally start. And we actually got some big news here as well. So Everton Football Club. When you think of, big time financial doping and rules violations, the first club you think of obviously is Everton Football Club. And wouldn't you know it, they just got absolutely bitch smacked by the FA. They were handed a 10-point deduction effective immediately. And I'm saying this from memory. I don't have it, written down, but I believe what it came down to is they spent 20 million pounds too much in the year 2021-22, or in the season 2021-2022 season. There were a lot of extenuating circumstances. Like there was a situation with Gylfi Sigurdsson, and basically they had to eat his salary. They couldn't, basically sell him for obvious reasons. Even though, strangely enough, that news never really came to a head. Sort of just went away. Very strange. But there were, basically what I'm saying is that there were extenuating circumstances that led to this situation where they ended up by, the FA's calculations spending too much money over their individual cap. And interestingly, like Everton worked with the FA, and they had a dialogue going. They weren't trying to hide anything, unlike certain clubs that we'll get to in just a second. But FA decided, no, you broke the rules and we're going to punish you. And they punish them with an immediate 10-point deduction, which knocks them back into the relegation zone. They're now on 4 points, even with whoever's in bottom, as Sheffield, I think it is. So they're in 19th place, but just ahead of 20th by goal differential. Now there's Burnley. Okay, Burnley's in last now. So they're in 19th place. There's sort of a silver lining here in the fact that if you were going to get a 10-point deduction and get, into the relegation zone, this is maybe a great season for that, because there are some bad teams that they can hopefully climb out of there and get back and stick around. I think the punishment was too strong. I do understand why the FA did what they did, because they had teams like Leicester and Southampton and the other teams that went down in this period. They had them watching, being like, if you give them like a lenient penalty, we're going to basically sue the shit out of you. Because obviously the fact that Southampton, Leicester, and everybody else that got relegated, that cost them a shit ton of money. At the end of the day, it's all about money. So I thought 10 points, but given the way that Everton handled it and the extenuating circumstances, I thought 10 points might be a little strong. Mitch, what do you think?
I'm more concerned with the bigger picture of all of this and as to what this means and the somewhat lofty standard that they've set for how many points are to be deducted for
one
single charge.
This was one charge that Everton is, charged with, and they lost 10 points. And I think City is charged with like 150 something.
115.
It's up
115. Okay.
It's 115. Yeah. Come on. Let's give them a little credit.
My bad.
Tiny numbers.
They're going to be playing in the National League if that's like actually the case, and they're going to stick to that. Also, you have to grant them like the time that it takes. So this was in the 2021 season, and they've just come to a conclusion on the Everton case on a single charge. We may not see a verdict on the City stuff like in our lifetime, honest to God. But I'm like really, really curious as to like, is this now the precedent? Is it a case by case thing? Do people get special treatment? I mean, the league is better when City is at the top of it from a commercial product standpoint. So like, do they have incentives to keep them in the league? Yes, but is that going to be at the expense of, league ethics and their decision? I don't know. Like I'm more so thinking about this as like, God, what does this mean for what a financial fair play allegation is?
And what happens? I think the big question at this point is, what does this mean for City? Right. And now Chelsea, because Chelsea's now wrapped into this, because, over the last week, the revelations came out that, Roman Abramovich, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, by the way, he had some shell companies, and there may have been some payments to some people that were not reported. I think they were related to Eden Hazard's transfer. I think was one of them. Signing Antonio,
I think,
and Antonio Conte. So. I believe his agent was wrapped up in this. Anyway, the fact that Roman Abramovich had some shady dealings, there is going to be absolutely nobody that's surprised by that.
That's not shocking to me, but I have to consider some statute of limitations here. We cannot be like penalizing an Enzo Fernandez team for what happened when they signed Samuel Eto'o. You know what I mean? Like that. When does that end?
Old ownership, right? It was a different owner.
Right.
I do subscribe to
100%
that,
turnover since then.
right? Like I do sort of understand that, and I'm not advocating that Chelsea get the book thrown at them. It will be interesting to see, though,
Right, but yeah,
what happens, because if you were setting the bar at one breach, and one breach, and it could be 15 breaches, who knows the gravity of each charge, but like 115. Holy shit. As soon as I saw that punishment, and the fact that Everton, they basically accepted it and said, okay, well, we disagree vehemently, but we'll take it, we'll move forward. But they included a line in their statement, which I thought was really interesting. Let me pull it up really quick. They basically said at the end of their statement, the club will also monitor with great interest the decisions made in any other cases concerning the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules, which is basically saying we got an eye on whatever the hell you're going to do with City and probably Chelsea. And if you don't skull fuck them, we are going to be on your ass. So yeah, FA is in an interesting spot right now. Anyway, let's go to the other Merseysider here. Dalton, what are your thoughts here on the 10-point deduction for Everton and what it means bigger picture?
I hate this for Everton. I think they are royally getting screwed. Part of it too is this new fancy stadium they're building that they're hopefully counting on getting the Premier League money to fund. Very important in this situation. But yeah, it just sucks because another reason Everton really can't fight this is because they can't afford the most expensive lawyers in the world, like the team that sits first in the league right now. And it's just unfortunate, really. I understand the Premier League probably, like Mitch said, they probably came down a little heavy here because they're like, we have to show we're taking this seriously or City's going to get off with nothing. And it's still possible City gets off with nothing. But I don't think the Premier League understands the uproar that the fans, especially of Everton, will have if City get off with nothing, if Chelsea get off with nothing. I think Premier League fans in general, but Everton fans especially, are going to lose their minds, as they should. I would lose my mind as I'm waiting because by my math, there should be like 1,150 points deducted from City at this point, and some titles stripped, I think. So a lot of City fans listening won't like that, but the evidence is there. If you're denying it at this point, you're kind of just acting blind.
That's the interesting thing, is that we know exactly what they did because it was in their emails. And I know City fans will bend over backwards doing mental gymnastics to try and explain it away, but we know what they did. They know what they did. The FA knows what they did. Everybody knows what they did. But City could actually pull you could take, basically we'll finish this season on negative 1,100 and whatever points, but that's just one relegation, right? We just get sent down to the championship. You can't like extend that over multiple leagues. I don't know. This is a strange one. As soon as I saw the 10-point deduction, the first thought in my head, and this was probably for the first time ever, I was like, wow, if I was a City fan or person who worked for City, I would be nervous for the first time, because I still can't wrap my head around the fact that the FA is actually going to do something serious about City. I still don't think they are. In my heart of hearts, I just can't see it happening. But
they'll keep oil pumping their team and they'll keep winning titles, and we'll all just fight for second.
It's all about the money, and the FA likes money too. So yeah, I guess we'll see on that. But certainly interesting news. Now, the next headline, as I pull up my notes, so IFAB, the world, what is it? The rules, essentially the rules committee for world soccer. They are discussing adopting some rugby-like rules that include a 10-minute sin bin, and this is basically between a yellow card and a red card, kind of like for orange card challenges, and also only allowing captains to approach the referee. There's also, I'm sure there's other ones that they're talking about. These are the two big ones. So number one, I can just make this really quick. I love it. Absolutely love it. I thought, and in fact, I'm pretty sure that we've already tried to institute this whole the only person who can go after a referee or talk to a referee or crowd around a referee or whatever is the captain. I thought we tried that a few years ago, and I never understood why it didn't catch on. Refs, I remember it was sort of the preseason. They gave some cards out, and then it just went away. It's on refs.
That's really difficult to enforce if you have referees who have played their entire or like refereed their entire careers with swarms of players approaching them after a call goes one way or another to now give out yellow, 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 yellow for just about anybody that steps to them. Like that's really difficult for referees to enforce in a practical sense. But like I like the idea that only captains can approach. I think the amount of players that talk to a ref throughout the game is a little excessive, and I really like the idea that only captains can do that.
Yeah, I don't mind people talking to refs. You can talk to refs,
No,
but it's in those big moments when they got the whole goddamn team circling the referee, and they have to then like find some little area to run away to or whatever. Like, yes, there's going to be some growing pains when they put this rule into place, just like there were some some situations where the ref was just like bing 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 bang boom, like a Oprah Winfrey, you get a yellow card, you get a yellow card, you get a yellow card. There was that type of situation that happened in that. I was like a preseason that they said we're going to do this. And but the thing is that anybody who's watched rugby knows what I'm talking about. The rugby players, they respect referees. They never do anything. Like anytime they look at a referee sort of sideways, referees like bing, send your ass to the sin bin. Like the referees don't take shit. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to referees. Give them the power. They will, use it. There's a lot of referees that won't have any problem, if you give them a little extra power. And I think it will be a good thing. The sin bin thing, I'm okay with that as well. Red cards it's so damn punitive that it just seems excessive sometimes, especially when it's sort of one of those questionable ones, or not necessarily the Sergiño Dest situation, but situation where it feels like, well, yeah, that's a second yellow, but like, was the first one really a yellow? That type of thing. So I'm in favor of all this. There's another rugby thing that I wish we implemented in soccer, and that's the communications between the head ref and the VAR officials and everything. It's available in real time for people to listen to. I will never understand why that's not a thing yet. But anyway, Dalton, any thoughts on sin bin and or
don't really like the sin bin.
Really?
Not a fan. Not just because of the sin bin, but I don't trust referees to differentiate between two colors of cards these days, and I don't really want to add a third because there will be massive controversy, more controversy, because now instead of two options, they get three. And no matter what option they make, it's the wrong option. So not a fan. And just in general, I think it's a needless rule change, just in my mind, in my opinion. And then, but I do like the captains just being able to approach the referee. Big fan of that. I'm tired of seeing people crowd the referee. It's really annoying. Doesn't change anything. Just makes you look stupid. So I do like that one.
It's embarrassing. It's just like kind of, to me, as somebody who's a fan of the sport and watched this and played the sport forever, it's embarrassing. It's kind of like the diving, which when you see a guy completely dive, you God damn it, that is embarrassing. It's embarrassing when you have like guys surrounding refs. I know it actually used to be a lot worse than it is now. I saw just a highlight of Manchester United in like the 90s when some referee, and he really looked like he was kind of like a new referee at the time. I just saw this on Twitter, and he essentially gave a penalty to the first time a penalty had been given to a Manchester United opponent at Old Trafford in years. And this was back in the Scholes, Giggs, Beckham, that era. And Manchester United, the players basically there was a swarm, and not just like sort of talking to him or yelling at him. They were like pushing him and sort of crowding him. At least it's gotten better, I guess. Maybe just a little bit since that. But The sin bin, the rule is kind of nebulous the way they're talking about it. I don't know how they would implement it. I kind of like the thought that we at least try it in some way, like just like how they're going to do, not like full scale, everybody we're going to do it, but like, try it in some little U23 league, the way they trial certain things with time wasting in MLS Next and that sort of thing. I would like to see it trialed and see what happens. Okay, we'll move quicker here. So also, there was a new study that came out. So bean counters finally putting their powers to use for good here. I don't know the insurance company that actually ran this study. Let's see if I can find it. The Howden Insurance Group, Howden. They ran some sort of study that essentially found that injuries this season are way up. And they basically could attribute that directly to the fact that players, have had almost no time off, and the fact we had a World Cup in an unprecedented Winter World Cup, which, prolonged the season. It made everybody sort of condense games in international and domestic play and yada, yada, yada. So they said that, and at the end of the day, it's going to come down to money. When players are like, oh, we think we deserve to play less. Now, that's not going to, that's not really going to hold weight with people who make decisions. Now, this stat, the fact that the English Premier League and German Bundesliga had, and they had, let's see, respectively 23.6 and 14.8% of players in those two leagues, respectively, played in the World Cup. So they had the biggest impact on rates of injuries. And this, what did I say the name was? Howden Insurance Group. They calculated that the increased injury severity contributed to nearly 30% rise in financial impact from injuries in the top 5 leagues. And of course, English and German is going to feel that most seriously. So it was $151.72 million in financial impact. And God knows how exactly they come to that number, but that is a big number and tells me, number one, that we're not going to have another Winter World Cup, I hope. I guess we'll see on that. But, injuries. So the average time injured players spent sidelined before and after the World Cup, pre-World Cup, it was 11.35 days. I assume that's per year. Afterwards, 19.41. So an increase of over 7 days on, people hitting the injury list. It's basically all this data backs up exactly what you would expect. But they put numbers to it, which is very important, and hopefully will actually have an impact. Any thoughts on this, guys?
The players,
I think what you said.
Yeah, they're playing. It's too many games. Like the players are telling us, coaches are telling us, doctors are telling us. The only people who don't know are the people whose pockets are getting lined by the more games. And those are the people who ultimately make the decision, unfortunately. So players, coaches, doctors, whoever can say as much as they want that they're playing too much and their bodies are telling them. But the guys up top who are like, my pockets are full. These games sure do add a lot of money to my net worth. They don't care. And until they care, it's not going to change, unfortunately.
And the only thing they care about is money. And that's why this kind of thing, this kind of study that actually puts some numbers behind it, will actually maybe bear a little fruit. Mitch?
Agree on all points. Nothing to add.
All right. So there we go. Lastly, we'll sort of put a bow on Copa America here. So Copa America 2024 news. CONMEBOL revealed they actually haven't said how many host cities are going to be, what are going to be the host cities, et cetera, et cetera. What they have disclosed as of today is the stadium that will host the first game and the stadium that will host the final. The first game will be hosted in Atlanta, Falcons FC's home stadium, Mercedes-Benz, and then the final will be hosted in Miami, which, its scripted trolls are going to be out in force now because of that, which shout out to CONMEBOL for giving them a little bit of little bit extra ammunition on that one. But yeah, that was all I had on that. So we'll move on to weekly what if time. So we've talked a lot about U.S. men's national team here. We actually haven't talked about Berhalter too much, I don't think. But here is a Greg Berhalter related hypothetical. So what if, Dalton, you're going to go first. I'm going to throw you under the bus here. What if in 2002, the World Cup quarterfinal, put yourself back here. I don't know. You might not have been alive, either one of you guys.
I was alive.
So this is the 2002 World Cup quarterfinal. What if Torsten Frings had not used his hands to block the shot off the goal line? That shot in question was a volley by none other than Greggory Berhalter, for those people who remember this and were alive. Let's assume in this alternate universe that everything else turned out the same. But when Greg was hired, he was probably best known by everyone, including the Twitter trolls, as the World Cup 2002 hero for sending us past Germany into the semifinals instead of, whatever people think of him, the nepotism hire by his brother, blah, blah, blah. How different would things be right now?
I don't think that different.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I know he would have that moment, which people could go back on and look at. But I think ultimately whenever people are like, oh, Nepo hire, they're like he's not a good coach, and they point to his previous coaching history, which maybe would change. I guess, to be fair, if he had that one moment that went in, that would have been huge in the history of soccer in this country. I don't think it changes much though, because I think at the beginning, yes, like the beginning, people would have been like, "Oh, this guy, remember him? He hit that massive goal for us in the quarterfinals." But I think as time went on, I think we're far enough in now where people would have I think it'd be pretty much the same.
So I'm going to contest you on that, or fight you on that a little bit, because you're right. I do think that, eventually it's just going to be his coaching record. But I think his coaching record isn't that bad. And the fact that he came in with this huge cloud hanging over him as the brother of the COO or whatever of US Soccer, like that colored so many people's impression or perception of him from the very start, that he was in a no-win situation. So in my mind, I think it is actually different. And I think like the first, year or two, he is given some leeway, whereas, the way it went down, he was already, before he even coached a single game, there were a lot of people that were like, I don't give a fuck. Berhalter out. I want, somebody with an accent. Give me somebody with a goddamn European accent. I don't want this guy. I don't know, Mitch, which side of the fence are you?
Firstly, I have never seen his name or heard his name spelled out as Gregory, so that was an interesting experience when you
I don't
said
know if
that.
that's
I was like,
actually his
who are we
name.
talking about?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe it is. I don't know. I was 7 in 2002, so forgive me if I can't really grasp the levity of the play that you're describing, but I can imagine. I'll take your word for it. I'm more so with Dalton on this. I don't think it changes anything. I think the fact that you have that last name and people can, it's a Google away. Everybody knows why you got that job in the first place. I don't necessarily think it changes people's opinions of like who he was as a servant to the U.S. men's national team, but I think everybody knows how and why you got the job in the first place. So perception of him as a coach doesn't change because of a goal he scored as a player.
All right. I mean, I think that he cracked another shout out to Serge. The the I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it does go back to sort of what your perception or impression of why he got the job was. If you think it's 100% because his brother was at US Soccer, then it's not going to change anything. But if you think it's because, and I've talked to a lot of guys that played with him, coached or played under him, played with him, and they all say he's a soccer dude with a good soccer mind, and blah 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 blah. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that like he got hired because he's a good coach, or because he had the right mindset or whatever. He's obviously a good interviewer because he got the job again.
Dude knows PR.
Right? He knows how to do the interview process. I don't know. I do think it's a little different. I do think it's different if he comes in and he doesn't have the however many people, the thousands of Twitter trolls and the USMNT, stan accounts who were just immediately against him. I think it is different, because if you just look at his record for coaching the US, it's not that bad.
Here's a different what if for you for another week. For another week, how would Greg Berhalter be looked at if Twitter didn't exist? There you go.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, I don't even know if I can wrap my head around that.
That's a whole podcast episode right there.
Yeah, that's a senior thesis paper.
That's right.
All right, let's move on. Premier League time. Time to wrap our heads around the fact that the Premier League is coming back at long last. We don't have to talk about Berhalter and Sergiño Dest and the situation for at least a few months, maybe. I don't know when our next window is. So we're going to hit the ground running. We got some big games this weekend. Obviously, none bigger than City and Liverpool, which I'm sure Dalton has been, thinking about. I think you were tweeting about it over the weekend when Haaland. There was talk of Haaland being injured for this game. Kind of sounds like maybe that's not the case.
Every City player before this international break had a minor knock that either kept them out of international duty or a game of international duty. It's no secret what Pep's up to. Look, every single one of these players that had a minor knock is playing on Saturday, right? Rodri's playing, Haaland's playing, everyone's playing but De Bruyne. They're all playing. It doesn't matter. It's just Pep's games. We know this at this point. So, yeah, I've been thinking about this game every day for weeks, Sam. It's not just this weekend. I've been thinking about this game. It's consuming my life.
And what are your thoughts on the 6:30 a.m. kickoff time there?
Should I go the Jurgen route or no, it sucks. Like for the players, it sucks to just get back from international duty. For us Americans over here, it also sucks to have to be up early. Good, fine for East Coast, 7:30 is fine. But anything beyond that, Central and West, it sucks. But it will be an incredible game, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I mean, normally I'd be like, what is the game everybody's most interested in? But we got to talk about City Liverpool first. I think Dalton probably has some preconceived notions about this game, so I'm going to go to you first, Mitch. Apart from the fact that anytime these two teams play, it's must-watch TV, and I'm excited to watch. Any thoughts on the game?
No, I do think the injury thing is funny though.
And Pep, Pep knows what he's doing.
It's true. It's true, Mitch.
Absolutely. If you're an international coach and you get on Pep Guardiola's shit list because you've just injured his player in like a Euro qualifier against Gibraltar, like you're fucked. That's just such a bad look. This is gonna be cinema. I'm looking forward to getting up at 7:30 and not 6:30 like you Midwest weirdos.
Listen, it's not 4:30 out on the West Coast. Shout out to those people.
Dude, when I lived out there, dude, it was tough to be a good Premier League fan. I wasn't a good Premier League fan. It was tough. But no, this is going to be fun. I like the under in this. Coming back from international break, I like the under in this one.
KG
affair. I mean, there's been a lot of those when City has played, Arsenal. When they play,
it's been a chess match, and it's not as open as like any of Chelsea's games have been over the past couple weeks.
I was gonna say not when they played Chelsea.
No, that was different, of course. But
that was insane. I was sort of thinking, do I want to put this on my, on my Saturday overtrain pick? And I was like, nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. There's too many other ones out there.
You should. Klopp and Pep do not have it in them when they play each other to play conservatively. They don't.
See, that was my thought process
because
as well.
not only do they both love playing attacking football, they both love talking about how the other person plays attacking football. So if one of them doesn't live up to that, they're going to disappoint the other. And say what you want about the Pep and Klopp love fest that has happened over the last several years. There is something there about they both want to show like, I can coach attacking football and we can win. Like, I think there's a certain part of that there. And I think both defenses could be a little. City has not been what they are. We know Liverpool can get beat behind. So I wouldn't hate if you went over here. But I might have convinced you into it. That means bet under.
So how confident are you in Liverpool's chances? I mean, this is a big game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like if you guys want to, consider yourself in the title race, like you have to, you got to do. I mean, would a point even be enough?
Yeah, on the road after an international break, early game, a point ultimately is enough, I think, in this game. But a win does wonders for everything, for the confidence going forward, coming back from the international break. My confidence level, though, I put it, I don't know, I go back and forth every day on what I think is going to happen. I think if I were being completely truthful and unbiased and did not have my Liverpool glasses on, I think City squeaked this one out. It might be like a 2-1 or something like that, or maybe even a 2-2. If I'm being completely unbiased, the biased me says we're running riot at the Etihad and we're winning 3-1. So
yeah, good luck with that. You're not Tottenham.
Yeah, right. No, but it's going to be, this is the test of the new Liverpool midfield. This is like, can you go toe to toe with City?
There's no bigger test. No doubt about that.
And is Virgil back to his best? I can't wait to see how that goes. Because my answer, I think he is, but
yes, I've definitely heard that from you. And I listen, I agree. He didn't look like Virgil van Dijk for a little while there. Whether it was actually borne out in the numbers and the stats, I'm not sure. He just didn't look like himself for a little while there. And lately, it seems like Virgil van Dijk is back in effect.
I'm clipping that.
Yeah. Well, I don't get many. I don't say too many things is nice about Liverpool. No, normally because Tyler's annoying me, so I just, come up with neat things. What other game? So outside of the obvious, City and Liverpool early game on Saturday, what game is most interesting to you, Mitchell?
Chelsea Newcastle is going to be fun. Chelsea have found a bit of form after a rocky start to the season, and I think they have an outstanding amount of confidence. They have players who are playing with outstanding amount of confidence. And this one is just, I think it'll be a declarative game for Chelsea. Are they really back? Are they really, finding their footing, or are they still kind of have some issues to fix out? And then Brentford Arsenal, we need a comfortable 3 points. I don't want to talk too much about the tactics on this one because Brentford have had our number for the past couple seasons, and I don't inexplicably, they've just found openings in places that we're not usually weak. We need just a comfortable top of the table win in this Brentford match. And then Villa Spurs. You guys are the walking wounded right now. How do you feel?
Not great. We'll get to it in Ivan Toney's best bets. What I think about that game. But just in a nutshell, not great. Not great at all. I think that we're in trouble. to put it succinctly. I think there's probably going to be some goals in that game, and I think most of them are going to go in our goal. So yeah, not too excited about that game. That's Sunday.
Is Son out? Because I know he picked up something.
I know he picked up a little knock. I haven't seen the injury report, but he came out.
Doesn't say anything, but
yeah, he limped off the field in South Korea's qualifier or whatever it was. But he then came back out, and he was jogging, and he looked okay. So I think we dodged a bullet on that one. I mean, if he's out, Jesus. then again, I don't love the over as much because we will be a toothless, you know, toothless wonder. But I think he's back. Other game that I thought just might be interesting, Everton coming off of this 10-point deduction and all the, emotions that will be swirling, are hosting Manchester United.
They've been playing well too.
By him.
What's
They're gonna smoke them. This is the equivalent of like a new manager bump, but on steroids. This is gonna be such a beautiful revenge game.
Right, Manchester United is going to be like 50 Cent, like when what I do? Fuck
what
me.
Do you say fuck me for?
That was a good reference. I'm proud of you. That was a good internet reference, Sam.
Right,
I'm really proud of
Sam is on fire tonight.
Yes.
He also said touch grass earlier.
Listen,
touch grass and then a 50 Cent meme. Wow.
As long as we don't talk about baddies, I know exactly what's going on with what the kids say. Oh God, I'm not that old. God damn it.
You brought up the 2002 World Cup.
About 2002.
It's true. I was alive and I was well-ish. Yeah. Listen, 2002 was one of the highlights of my life. U.S. beating Mexico 2-0 in the World Cup round of 16. All right, we'll move on. I mean, listen, there's some other games that'll be interesting, but it's just good. It's good to have the Premier League back and European soccer and blah blah blah. Not just European soccer, Australian soccer is back, Mexican league's back, MLS is back. Which is that the next thing on our list? Let me check. Is that it? What a segue that would be. Yeah, it is. It is
how they do it in the biz.
Oh, I feel like a professional right now. Not really. So we'll go to round the world, where we will start with MLS, the playoffs. Can you feel the momentum? Oh yes, we're just picking up right where we left off, right? Oh, that was sarcasm. It's unfortunate, just the format, the structure, the scheduling. But we are back, and basically Halloween. I think we have Halloween. Thanksgiving. We got some Thanksgiving week, if not day, games. The semifinals start on the 25th, and today is 20th, so that's the weekend, right? Yeah, Friday or Saturday and Sunday. So this weekend we got the semifinals. Well, the conference semifinals. By the way, can they figure this out? It's the quarterfinals. It's not the semifinals. Don't call it the semifinals. It's the conference semifinals. It's actually the quarterfinals. And dummies like me are willing to say it's the quarterfinal or the semifinals when it's really not. Anyway, we have on, Saturday, we got the Eastern Conference, where Cincinnati is hosting Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Orlando is hosting Columbus. So now we've moved away from, by the way, these, crazy 2-game or 3-game series. We're now just into one-off, good old American winner take all, move on playoff games. So you get excited about that. Maybe people can wrap their head around that a little bit more and get into it, because these games actually will be good. I know we've sort of been talking a lot of shit about the structure and the format and everything like that. Let's get into it now. So we got the conference semifinals starting Saturday: Cincinnati and Philadelphia, and Orlando and Columbus. And then we got on Sunday, Houston and Sporting Kansas City. And that is 2 upsets, by the way. Both those teams, I think, came through. No, Houston was the favorite against RSL, so I take that back. But the fact that we don't have St. Louis in this matchup is very unfortunate. And in fact, Tim Parker was almost.
You're telling me.
I know. I'm a de facto St. Louis fan too, and Tim Parker was almost on with us today. I'm sure he would add some thoughts about that matchup. It's unfortunate we didn't have him. But Sporting Kansas City, to their credit, they played awesome and deserved to go on. So that'll be interesting against Houston. And then, of course, maybe the biggest sort of big brand name marquee matchup, Seattle and LAFC in the West. And that will obviously be a big one. Which of those 4, which one are you most interested in, Dalton?
Orlando, Columbus. Because
off the beaten path there.
Yeah, because right now I'm placing a future on Columbus to win MLS Cup.
Ooh.
Been a big fan of them all year. I thought when Zelarayan left, there was going to be a really tough period for them, but they've adjusted very well, partly because Diego Rossi is incredible. I think they have an incredible team, an incredible coach. I love watching them play. They're probably, outside of St. Louis bias, probably my favorite team in the league to watch. They're a ton of fun. I think they're really good. I think they have all the mix-ins. It's just, I think this is actually going to be their hardest game because Orlando at home is a pain in the ass for everyone to play. So if they can get past Orlando, I love the Columbus Crew's chances, and that's the game I'm stoked for. Yeah, I know it's kind of a sicko pick with the other ones that are on the board, but I love that game.
It is a bit of a sicko pick, but I like it, and your rationale makes sense. Mitch, of the four, which one are you most interested in?
Oh, I wasn't paying attention one bit.
The MLS, the conference semifinals / quarterfinals.
I like Cincinnati and Philly. I saw the Philadelphia Union knock out my New England Revolution. They did look like a good team, despite the Mark Anthony K red card in that game, which was frustrating. Couple frustrating first half red cards in my life lately. Don't mention it, but I'm interested in that Cincinnati and Philly game.
That will be interesting as well because Cincinnati is coming off of an incredible regular season, but kind of like St. Louis, if they were to fall in this game, what would be sort of the narrative from this season? That would be not great. So that'll be an interesting one. I'm actually really interested in all four of these games. I do think, Dalton, you're right that Orlando, Columbus, the winner of that one, watch out for that. Watch out for that team. Rest of around the world. Quickly, the U.S. youth national team is playing in the U17 World Cup at the moment. They went 2-1 in group play, so they will now play Germany in the round of 16, and that game is on Tuesday at 2:30 a.m. So by the time you will be listening to this, the game will be over. So sorry about that.
We will have smacked Germany.
Right. We will have smacked Germany. We'll be on to the quarterfinals. Good call, Dalton, on that one. Listen, it was a pretty successful group stage. They did lose to France 3-0. We did pick up a red card in that game, which, it's just the way we do things these days. It wasn't until like sixth minute into the 96th minute or something we picked up the red card. But Germany is obviously very good. Not Germany. France is very good in the youth national team. So not the end of the world. And they did well in the group stage. Other than that, we'll move on to stoppage time. So Ivan Toney's best bets. As I said last week, the overtrain was cooking with thermonuclear gas coming into the week. It was a tough one. Okay. It was a tough week. We international breaks, you don't have your normal you don't have the evidence base to really make the decisions on the games you really like or don't like. So I came into the week, ever since I started counting anyway, having gone 19 for 26. Last week I went 3 for 5. And so that feels like a loss. I think mathematically that's a win. It felt like a loss though, because we won the games on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I was feeling really good. I was thinking about, putting a little promo up on the Instagram about like how hot I was. Oh boy, scratch my own back. And then of course, thank God I didn't, because the next two games I lost, although the losses were extremely painful. Like the fact that I didn't go 5 for 5 last week it's still emotionally scarring. So on Wednesday we got I'm not going to go through them all, but on Saturday Wrexham was playing whoever the hell they were playing last week. I guess I can pull it up real quick. But they were basically down 2-0. Obviously we needed 3 goals in that game. They were playing Accrington. They were down 2-0. They had a penalty kick in the 90th plus 10 Paul Mullen, their best player, steps up and he can't convert the penalty. That's all I needed. I just needed that penalty. And then on Sunday, somehow even more painful, Camber, who Dalton, I think, is the one that put me onto this team. They just give goals away and they score goals left and right, and they have been killing it in recent weeks. Well, Camber and who was it? Rhoda, JC Kirkcrade. It was 1-1 after 11 minutes. After 11 minutes, we were at like game was over in terms of like the over. Like that's just, you can put your phone away. You could start spending your money. How are we going to, delegate this to the Sunday afternoon football games? Like it was just like, I was ready to go. Not a single goal from then on. It ended 1-1. So those two games, that was rather emotionally painful. But you know what? We're going to bounce back from that. We are going to bounce back stronger, bigger, faster, better than ever. I got 5 more for you. Five aside, overtrain. You guys want me to go first?
Oh, with that build up, you got to let it fly. You got to let it fly.
I can't put it on you guys this one. Okay, so here we go, everybody. Wednesday through Sunday, 1 a day, overtrain. We're cooking. We're going to start on, and by the way, we're still going to be an international break for part of this, so we had to dig deep. Keep that in mind. I'm not going to throw an asterisk on there, even though there should be. We're going to find winners, and we're going to start on Wednesday, where we're looking at the Liga MX Expansión, Mineros, and Cancun. They're in the playoffs now. That means they got to go for it. Both these teams score and get scored on. Their last couple games against each other, goals galore both ways. Mineros and Cancun on Wednesday. Thursday, we're going to Costa Rica, where Municipal Grecia and Deportivo Saprissa, everybody knows Saprissa from CONCACAF Champions League. So those two teams, especially Deportivo Saprissa scores a bunch, and Municipal Grecia is kind of in the middle, but they play a lot of games with a lot of goals. So we're going to go to Costa Rica on Thursday. Friday, we're going to France. Liga, PSG, and Monaco. I mean, I shouldn't even have to say. Monaco especially is, Balogun's going to get back there. He's going to be extra motivated after, fucking sitting around with his thumb in his ass for most of that game against, Trinidad and Tobago. So he's going to be out there scoring. Let's go brace for him. Who knows how many PSG gets, but whatever it is, it's going to be over. Saturday, we're going to Germany, Dortmund and Gladbach. Absolute. I feel that's probably of the 5. That's the one that I'm like, no question. That one's easy winner. And then on Sunday, teased it before, Tottenham. What are we? I don't know. I'm not calling us shit, you Arsenal fans. That's not what Tottenham is. But we're not exactly great right now. We're probably going to give up a couple goals to Aston Villa at a minimum. We're probably going to score one too. So I'm thinking maybe like a 3-1 loss, which gets us where we need to go from the overtrains perspective.
He's back down to earth.
Oh, listen, I knew it was coming. I was just enjoying it while it lasted. God damn it.
You were reasonable throughout the whole process. I'll give you that.
That's very reasonable. So there we go. Wednesday through Sunday, we are coming off of 22 for 31 recently, and hopefully we go 5 for 5, and we can just give each other high fives and enjoy it on the back end. Now, who wants to go first? Mitch, you look like you're ready.
Yeah, sure. I got 3. One of them you already mentioned was Gladbach and Borussia Dortmund. I like both teams to score in that, which is essentially going to help your over. We're all in the same mindset there. I'd like also both teams to score in Newcastle Chelsea as well. As we've seen, Chelsea's games are super open. Well, the most recent one was, that's for sure. Let's hope they don't change up the game plan too much and they keep playing that attacking style. And Newcastle have goal scorers depending on who's healthy. But Newcastle have goals in the side. And then I like Brighton money line against Forest. That's at plus money right now. Brighton are a hot and cold team, but I don't think you overthink this one. It is at Forest, but I still like Brighton to bounce back after an international window.
Okay, you know what? I like that. As long as Stevie Cooper is throwing out that bum, whoever is their keeper, I like Brighton to score a whole bunch of goals on Forest and get our guy Matt Turner back in between the posts. So I like that call.
That's what we need.
Dalton, what you got for us?
If you won't take Comber, I will.
I gotta take a week off. I'm scarred.
No,
I'm scarred.
it's a drug I cannot quit. They play VVV Venlo. Totally butchered that pronunciation. A Dutch person would kill me if they heard me say that. But both teams score a ton of goals. Don't overthink that one. Take the over. Comber and Venlo on Friday. So it's before the weekend. And then usually don't take unders. I take unders sometimes in games I don't watch, so I don't have to root against goals to be scored. At 9 a.m. Central Time on Saturday, Luton and Crystal Palace play. Same time as Chelsea Newcastle. So everyone's going to be watching Chelsea Newcastle. Put some money on the under on Luton and Crystal Palace, and you'll thank yourself later.
I like that because everybody in the Premier League is scoring goals. Everybody except Crystal Palace. Like they're somehow they missed the memo on the fact that everybody's supposed to be scoring goals this season. So I like those calls, boys. Well done. We'll now head to everybody's favorite segment. Of course, it is go is time. Oh, who are we gonna go? Mitch, you look like you're confident and ready to throw somebody under the bus or give them the adulation they deserve.
Always a little of both this week. I get to first of which I guess we'll call my runner-up being Warren Zaire-Emery. French international, got his first call up at 17. I was lucky enough to watch him play in a ICC Futures tournament at IMG Academy in Florida in 2019, and he was remarkable. He played with the PSG U17s at the time. He was 13. And the kid was just like head and shoulders the best player on the field. His decision making was already at a pro level. Physically, he was the size or bigger than everybody else on the field. He played quicker. He was sharper. He was just overall better. You know, when you can tell a player is just the best on the field. And it was really cool to see him, one, get a call up, two, get a start, three, unfortunately get injured after he scored his first international goal for France, wishing him a speedy recovery. That's my first one. Second is the scripted, poetic level of shithousery that is Spanish music media for allowing Sergio Ramos to present Shakira with an award, PK's ex, with an award this week.
The Latin Grammys, baby. Song of the year.
Grammys, that's right. That is so good from whoever is the producer on that event. Really, I think the producer actually gets my Goa. Sergio Ramos and Shakira didn't come up with that idea. Someone in a back room did, and I think that person deserves my Goa.
Yeah, that's amazing. I obviously had that one written down as
I can imagine. Yeah,
but that was such a great move. Just a diabolical move by Sergio Ramos, because this was the song of the year written about Gerard Piqué by his ex, Shakira. And then there he is, Sergio Ramos, the sort of the center backs from Barcelona and Real Madrid. That is awesome. I mean, it's amazing. I'm sure that probably they're all sort of in on the joke. I don't think that Gerard Piqué and Sergio Ramos, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
I don't know, dude. All's fair in love and war. That does not seem like that's a pretty fresh situation too. They haven't been divorced for 20 years. Like that is it's not, something tells me that Sergio Ramos and Gerard Piqué are not like super amicable if they see each other in public. I think that has some teeth behind it, that entire situation.
Listen, I want that to be true. I like that. I like that narrative better than mine. So let's go with yours. But great Goa. You took it from me, but that's okay. I got other ones. Dalton, who you got?
My first one we already touched on, Pep Guardiola, for his antics of pretending that players are hurt to prepare for a game against Liverpool, because he is in fact scared again of Liverpool and what Liverpool are capable of. Still going to take it to you on Saturday, Pep. So it's not going to work. And the other one, going to keep this one really simple. Luis Diaz, his dad gets returned from those terrible kidnappers, and incredible video of them seeing each other for the first time after this had all ended. But then Luis Diaz goes and scores twice in 4 minutes for Colombia to beat Brazil. And his dad was in the stands. He was crying, going crazy. Just incredible scenes. Super happy for Luis Diaz. Just an overall ended up okay, which everyone is thankful for, and super happy for him to score those goals and for his dad to be there and see it makes it that much more special.
Yeah, good call. Very good call. In fact, he scored 2 goals. That was quite a moment. I will go. I got a couple honorable mentions. Sergio Ramos has now been crossed off the list. But I got plenty more. Bromley, a club I actually don't know what league they are in. Bromley FC is in the National League. So they're where Wrexham was last season before they got promoted. So Bromley came to a partnership with the the firm or the company that runs Football Manager, and they are going to hire a legitimate club tactician based on somebody who does well at Football Manager. Granted, I've been very open. I don't play FIFA anymore. I don't play Football Manager. I don't really know what's going on at all. But the fact that they're actually going through that course to hire somebody is hilarious. And some dork. Wow, that's not nice. I shouldn't say that. Some gamer is going to, who's been talking to all his buddies about how good he is at Football Manager, is going to get hired by Bromley because they are so good at Football Manager. So I like that whole narrative. I like that arc. Well done, Bromley. Even if you're getting paid for it by Football Manager, I don't care. Let's not worry about that. Also, Kai Havertz, who is a world-class left back. He can't score for shit when he's a striker. He scored 5 minutes into his debut for Germany while playing left back. 5 minutes. It took him 5 minutes.
Away a penalty that lost them the game. It's a hell of a narrative, I know, but for those that watch the game,
Let me have this, God damn it. He's a world-class left back, and I hope he plays left back for you guys. But listen, 5 minutes. It took him 5 minutes to score a goal as a left back. Just hilarious. All around hilarious.
Great finish, too. Really good.
It was. I mean, I had a late addition here. I added Sergiño Dest to the list. I mean, love my guy, but first U.S. men's national team player with an assist and a red card in the same game or in the same year, I believe, since Sergiño Dest. Or no, I said it wrong. First U.S. men's national team player with an assist and a red card in the same game since Sergiño Dest versus Mexico in the Nations League earlier this year. And I was actually 100% on board with that red card against Mexico when he got in, the whole team's face. I love that. Not so much this time. Not a big fan this time. Other honorable mentions. Do I have any more? Yes, I do. One more important one. Lewiston High School men or boys soccer team for winning the state championship on a golden goal in overtime a few weeks after, obviously, the terrible situation with the massacre and manhunt that related to that. Just a great story. It sort of reminded you what's great about sports, bringing people together, positivity and all that. So shout out to the Lewiston High School team for that. But then my actual Goa for this week is I'm gonna give it to whoever makes the decisions on handing down these punishments. Is it the FA? Is it the Premier League? I don't actually know who actually comes up with who metes out these punishments. And I'm giving
it'll be the FA, yeah.
The FA. I thought it was the FA, but maybe it's Premier League. I don't know. Whoever it is, you're my Goa this week because the fact that you didn't fast track Man City's lawsuit or case or whatever and make a decision last season and absolutely ruin my freaking life. Thank you. Thank you. Because if City had gotten, an immediate point deduction and Arsenal would have won the league, my life would be a living hell right now. And instead, you got second and nobody gives a shit about second place, even if you had finished ahead of us. I was just thinking about that when they handed down that deduction. Is like, that was pretty fast. They sort of moved fast on this, whereas City, they seem to be dragging their feet. And I remember a lot of Arsenal fans last season being like, so when is this punishment actually going to happen? I was like, there's no way they're going to hand down that punishment. I was kind of right, but I was kind of wrong in the fact that, in the sense that they gave Everton, they did not take too long on that. And yeah, I just dodged a bullet. That's all I'm saying. So shout out.
Listen, if you got two things on your plate, you got to do the dishes and you got to sell your house. Which one of those things are you going to do first?
True. And I'm thankful that they did the dishes first and didn't worry about selling the house. I'm just very, very thankful of that. And so that is why the Premier League and or the FA, whoever makes the decisions, you're my go this week. Just know that I appreciate you for not making a decision last season and ruining my life. So thank you very much. Okay. Boys and girls. Boys and girls, there we go. A lot of USMNT talk. I'm sure there'll be more again soon. Just focus on the big picture. We qualified for Copa America. Okay. It's okay. We're going to be happy. Thank you, Mitch. You're the best. Thank you, Dalton, for everything you do, including, shipping these podcasts into shape. And thank you to everybody else for listening. We will be back next week. Hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving and the MLS playoffs, and we will see you then. Cheers.